Hello, everyone, and welcome back to our virtual Mishnah Berurah share. We're holding a Mishnah Berurah Chelik Gimel, and Mirtz Hashem today we will be learning Daf Tzadik Dalid Amud Aleph. We are continuing to learn Hilchos Shabbos. We pick up today on Daf Tzadik Gimel Amud Beis, 2 lines off the bottom of the Shulchan Aruch, in middle of Siman Shin Dalid Sif Aleph. We are learning today should be a schus for Achenu Kol Beis Yisrael Hanesunim Batzara Ubashivya Ha'im Nebein Bayom Ubein Bayabasha Hamakim Yerachem Aleihim V'Yetziim Mitzara L'Rvacha Me'afelu La'Oira Mishibud L'Geula Hashta Bagolo V'Zman Kariv and Amar Amen. Our learning should be a schus for Refuah Shalema from Shemer ben Esther Fradel, Yitzchak ben Sion ben Dusha, Tzvi ben Leah Miriam, Chava Hadassah bas Rezel Serel, Devorah bas Shoshamina, and Rivka bas Sharaleah. They should have a Refuah Shalema b'Seich Shar Chayli Yisrael. And our learning should be a schus. The Rabbeinu Shalom should watch over all of our brothers and sisters who find themselves in harm's way, b'chol makom shehem. So here in Siman Shin Dalid Shin, we're learning the sugya of Evet Kanani. Very fascinating. We're here in Chelik Gimel of Mishnah Berurah. We're learning Hilchos Shabbos, and we have over here a small little sugya of Evet Kanani. Why do we have a sugya of Evet Kanani in the middle of Hilchos Shabbos? Because of 2 psukim that we have in the Torah. One is a pasuk from the Aseres HaDibros. The pasuk says, "Laman Yanuach, Laman Yanuach, Avdecha v'Amoscha Kamoicha." You have Shabbos, and on Shabbos, your Eved, your Amma, have to rest just as you. Then we have another pasuk, this week's Parshas Mishpatim, V'Yinafesh ben Amosecha v'Hager. The child of your Amma and a ger, this doesn't mean a ger tzedek, this means a ger toshav, they also have to rest on Shabbos. And from these 2 psukim, we learn out different dinim. As we spoke yesterday, we're dealing here with 3 different levels of Evet Kanani. The first level, Evet Kanani, the highest level, Evet Kanani, the kind of typical Evet Kanani that we always speak about when we're learning through Shas and we're learning Mishnayos and we deal with Evet Kanani. We're talking about the Evet Kosher. An Evet Kosher is somebody, an Eved, an Eina Yehudi, who was purchased as an Eved by a Yisrael, and he agreed to accept upon himself the mitzvahs that an Evet Kanani would be chayiv in. What mitzvahs is an Evet Kanani chayiv in? All of the mitzvahs that a woman is chayiv in. She's chayiv in all of the mitzvahs loisaseh of the Torah, and when it comes to mitzvahseh, an isha is chayiv in every mitzvah except the mitzvahs that are mitzvahseh shazman grama, the mitzvahs that are time dependent. So too, an Evet Kosher, he accepts upon himself to have a bris milah, he accepts upon himself to go to the mikveh and be toivel l'shem avdus, and he is mekabel on himself that level of Torah observance. He's mekabel on himself to be chayiv in all of the mitzvahs that an Isha Yisraelis would be chayiv in. That's the Evet Kosher. We learned yesterday in the beautiful Hakdama of the Chavetz Chaim that the pasuk from the Aseres HaDibros, Laman Yanuach Avdecha v'Amosecha Kamoicha, that pasuk is referring to the Evet Kosher. And the halacha by the Evet Kosher is that he's certainly not allowed to do any malacha. He's not allowed to do any malacha even l'tzarech atzmai. Even for his own purposes, he's not allowed to do any malacha. He's chayiv in mitzvahs the same way a Yiddish woman is chayiv in mitzvahs. So he's not allowed to do any malacha. But comes along the pasuk Laman Yanuach Avdecha v'Amoscha Kamoicha to tell you a new halacha. Not only is he not allowed to do malacha, his adain, his master, has a chiyuv to prevent him from doing malacha. Not only does the adain have a chiyuv not to tell him to do malacha, not only does the adain have a chiyuv to prevent him from doing malacha for him, for the adain has a chiyuv to prevent the Evet Kosher from doing malacha, period. If he sees the Eved going out to take a smoke on Shabbos, he has to stop him. He has a chiyuv. As the adain of this Eved, he has a chiyuv from Laman Yanuach Avdecha v'Amoscha Kamoicha. He has a chiyuv daraisa to be mainea to prevent the Evet Kanani from doing malacha. Then we have the second pasuk from Parshas Mishpatim, V'Yinafesh ben Amoscha v'Hager. This pasuk right away is referring to the second level of Eved Kanani. That's what I'm going to call the Eved Kanani Ger Toshav. This is an Eved who is not ready to be makabel on himself, that he's going to become the Eved kosher and be chayiv in mitzvahs the same way a Yiddish woman is. He is a middle madrega. What he's willing to say is, listen, I'll live like, so to speak, a kosher goy. I'll live like the way every human being in this world is mechuyev to live, which is Sheva Mitzvahs B'nai Noach. Every person, every Eini Yehudi, really is mechuyev to keep Sheva Mitzvahs B'nai Noach. So this Eved says, I'll keep the Sheva Mitzvahs B'nai Noach. That's what I'll do. I won't be an Eved kosher, but I'll keep the Sheva Mitzvahs B'nai Noach. So he's like any other Ger Toshav, any other Eini Yehudi who wants to live in Eretz Yisrael, when Eretz Yisrael is ours, when we have a Yiddish Malchus and everything else. A Yid wants to live in Eretz Yisrael. We have to know that he's going to keep the Sheva Mitzvahs B'nai Noach. So this Eved agrees to keep the Sheva Mitzvahs B'nai Noach. Comes along the pasuk. Now, is he chayiv in Hilchah Shabbos? No, he's an Eini Yehudi. He's not mechuyev to keep Shabbos. If he wants to go grill a steak on Shabbos afternoon, he's allowed to. He's allowed to do malacha on Shabbos. But comes along the pasuk of Yinafesh ben Amoscha v'Hager and teaches us a very interesting halacha, min HaTorah, daraisa. What is that? That the Adain and all other Yidden, they're not allowed to have this Eved do malacha for them on Shabbos. Since he is an Eved, he's a Kinyan Aguf of a Yisrael. A Yisrael owns him. The Adain is mechuyev to prevent him from doing any malacha for him. Again, if the Eved himself wants to go do malacha for his own purposes, he's allowed to do malacha for his own purposes. He's a guy who keeps Sheva Mitzvahs B'nai Noach. Shabbos is not one of the Sheva Mitzvahs B'nai Noach. But should the Eved go out to do malacha for the Adain would be mechuyev to stop him. Not only that, this Issa Daraisa also pertains to every Yisrael. No Yisrael is allowed to go over to this Eved Kanani and ask this Eved Kanani to do malacha for them on Shabbos. This is different than any other Amir La'akum. Amir La'akum, to go ask Tony, your neighbor, to do malacha for you on Shabbos, that's an Issa D'Rabbanan. That's a shvus. But the Eved Kanani, since he's owned with a Kinyan Aguf by a Yisrael, since he's the possession, so to speak, of a Yid, there's an Issa Daraisa that no Yid is allowed to have him do malacha. And the Adain has to prevent him, has to stop him from doing malacha if he's doing malacha for him, for the Adain. Then the Adain is mechuyev to stop him. So that's kind of this middle ground Eved, the Eved Ger Toshav. Then there's a bottom feeder. There's a bottom Eved Kanani. That's the Eved Kanani that you're not really even allowed to keep. Certainly you're not allowed to have him in Eretz Yisrael. That's the Eved Kanani who says, get out of here. I'm not becoming an Eved kosher. I'm not keeping Sheva Mitzvahs B'nai Noach. If I was Oved Avodah Zarah until now, I'm going to continue being Oved Avodah Zarah. That Eved Kanani, we have a machlokes. That Eved Kanani, the first opinion that was brought down by the Mechaber, we'll call it the Dei Rishona, the first opinion, says that this bottom level Eved Kanani has the same halacha as the middle level Eved Kanani. Since the bottom line is that he's an Eved of Yisrael, the pasuk of Yinafesh ben Amoscha v'Hager applies to him the same way it applies to the Eved Ger Toshav. And just like by the Eved Ger Toshav, the Adain is not allowed to give him malacha to do. The Adain is mechuyev to prevent him from doing malacha for him. And any other Yisrael is not allowed to instruct him or ask him to do malacha for them. So too, by this bottom level, Eved Kanani, he is also part of the pasuk of Yinafesh ben Amoscha v'Hager. Even though he's not keeping Sheva Mitzvahs B'nai Noach, he wasn't makabel anything on himself. The bottom line is, he's a Kinyan Aguf of a Yisrael. He's an Eved of a Yisrael. He's nichlal in Yinafesh ben Amoscha v'Hager, and he's not allowed to do malacha for Yisrael. But the Mishnah Berurah brought down a V'yesh Cholkim. He brought down a shita of the Rambam, the Ramban, who says no. He says the Isser Torah of Yinafesh ben Amoscha v'Hager, when it comes to this bottom level Eved Kanani, the Eved Kanani is not even being makabel Sheva Mitzvahs B'nai Noach. That Isser Daraisa of Yinafesh ben Amoscha v'Hager, that only pertains to the Adain. the Odain is not allowed to have him do malacha for him, midaraisa. But when it comes to any other Yisrael, this Eved Kanani has the same din as a regular Eina Yehudi. The same way there's an Issa D'Rabbanan of Amira La'akum that you can't ask Tony, your neighbor, to do malacha for you on Shabbos. So too, if a Yid owns an Eved Kanani, but this Eved Kanani wasn't even Mekabel on himself, Sheva Mispnei Noach, so the Odain himself has a Chiyav Yinafesh Ben Amascha V'Ager. He can't have his Eved do work for him on Shabbos, Midaraisa. But any other Yisrael, this Eved to them is like any other Akum. There's an Issa D'Rabbanan of Amira La'akum, but there's no Issa D'Araisa of Amira to this Eved. So that's kind of a recap of what we did yesterday. Now, let's move on. 2 lines off the bottom, near the middle of the line. Umikol Makom. Says the Mechaber, Umikol Makom. While it's true that we have learnt so far that even the bottom level Eved, even the Eved who's not being Mekabel, even Sheva Mitzvahs B'nei Noach, even that Eved, the Odain, has a chiv to prevent him from doing malacha, right? That's what we said until now. When we come okay, Im haya oisa melechus rabbi shaloi midaitoi. But what if this bottom level Eved, or even the middle level Eved, even the Eved Ger Toshav, if the Eved Ger Toshav or the bottom level Eved, if one of them would get up and start doing Melechus Rabbi, start doing work that's really work for the Odain, but he does it Shaloi Midaitoi. He does it, the Odain did not know that this Eved went to go do Malacha. So the Eved, this Eved Ger Toshav, or the bottom level Eved, woke up Saturday morning, and he was feeling very energetic, and he decided, you know what, I'll go plow one of my Odain's fields. He doesn't say anything to the Odain. He didn't ask the Odain. The Odain certainly didn't instruct him to do it. He gets up, he goes to the garage, gets out the tractor, he goes, and he's plowing. So he's Oysa Melechus Rabbi Shalom Midaitoi. And, says the Mechaber, V'nicker she'ena Oysa Ladaitoi. Somehow it's nicker that the Odain didn't ask him to do it, and the Odain has nothing to do with this, and he's doing it for his own purposes. Mutter, it's mutter for the Eved to allow the Eved to continue working. Ve'ein tzarich la'afrishai, and the Odain is not mechuyev to go pull him away from the work and stop him. Let's take a look here at Mishnah Berurah's Katan Yud Aleph. Says the Mishnah Berurah, after bevor le'el, even though we learned earlier, shemitzuv al shvisas avdoi, that an Odain is commanded to make sure that his Eved does not do malacha on Shabbos, bein kishakibel alav sheva mitzvahs, whether we're talking about the Eved Ger Toshav, who is mekabel on himself to keep sheva mitzvahs b'nei noyach, ubein kishaloi kibel alav, or even on the bottom level Eved, we have said, and this is even according to the Rambam and the Ramban, even according to the Yesh Cholkim, everybody agrees that even the bottom level Eved, certainly the middle one, certainly the Eved Ger Toshav, but even the bottom level one, everybody agrees that as far as the Odain, as far as the master has a chiyuv of Yonafesh ben Amascha v'Ager to make sure that this Eved does not do malacha for him, for the Odain. The only dispute between the Yesh Cholkim and the Dei Rishona is by other Yidden. By other Yidden we have a machlokes. The Dei Rishona holds that even by the bottom level Eved, other Yisraelim are not allowed to have him do malacha for them. The Rambam and the Ramban, the Yesh Cholkim, they hold no. By other Yidden, other than the Odain, this bottom level Eved has a regular din of Amir La'akum and Issa D'Rabbanan. But the Odain has a daraisa of Yinafesh ben Amascha v'Ager, even by the bottom level Eved. So again, says the Mishnah Berurah here, when the Mechaber says umikol moka, nevertheless, what the Mechaber is saying is, even though we have learned that when it comes to the two lower level avodim kinanim, when it comes to the Eved Ger Toishav, who's Makabel Sheva Mitzvah B'nai Noach, and when it comes to the Eved, the Prosta Eved, who's not willing to be Makabel anything, when it comes to those two Avadim, we learned that the Adain has a Chiyuv of Yinafesh Ben Amascha V'Hager. He's not allowed to have the Eved do Malacha for him. Still in all, what the Mechaber is telling us is, Hainu Dafka B'denichale B'Malachazu. That's only when the Adain is happy with the work that's being done. The Azam Rinan, because then we say, the Mistama Oisa Al Daitoi. When we see the Eved doing work, and it's work that the Adain is happy with, so then the assumption is that why is the Eved doing it? The Eved is doing it for the Adain, right? That would be the assumption. Val Kain, and therefore, Mechuyev Lafrishay Mizeh. Therefore, the Adain has a chiyuv of Yinafesh Ben Amascha V'Hager to go prevent the Eved Kanani from doing the work. Again, what's the chiyuv over here? The reason why the Adain has a chiyuv to prevent the Eved Kanani from doing malacha is because Yinafesh Ben Amascha V'Hager creates an Isser Torah that the Adain is not allowed to have the Eved do malacha for him on Shabbos. And when he's going ahead and he's doing Meleches Rabbi, when the Eved is doing work that is clearly work for the Adain, the assumption is, why is he doing it? He's not doing it for exercise. He's doing it because that's what he is. He's an Eved of the Adain. He's doing the Adain's work. Why? For the Adain. So that means he's working for you. V'yanavish ben Amascha V'Hager. You gotta stop him. But if somehow it is nicker, if somehow it's recognizable that he's not doing it for the Adain, why is he doing it? He's doing it for himself. So then, heavy kabbalechas atzmai, then it becomes his own work, ve'ena mutal alav lamanai, and then the Adain is not mechuyev to stop him. Now, I think I just did a beautiful job of translating, if I may say so myself. I think I did a nice job of translating the Mishnah Berurah. Having said that, I'm a little bit confused because I'm not 100% sure what this means. In the words of the Mechaber, what's happening over here is, Im haya oisa meleches rabbi, he is doing the work of the Adain. The example that I gave when I read the Mechaber is that he got up Saturday morning, he's feeling energetic, he went and he plowed one of the Adain's fields. Now, the reason I said that is because the Mechaber says, Im haya oisa meleches rabbi. He is doing malacha, he is performing work that is work for the Adain, work that the Adain needs done. He's fixing the Adain's tractor. He's plowing the Adain's field. I don't know, whatever this, he's harvesting the Adain's apples. So he's clearly doing Meleches Rabbi. But he's doing it Shaloi Midaitoi. What does Shaloi Midaitoi mean? Shaloi Midaitoi means that the Adain comes home from shul Shabbos morning and he sees his Eved plucking apples. He never asked him to. He never instructed him to. He didn't. But somehow, but somehow it's recognizable that he's not doing it ladas the Adain. Not sure what that means. How is it recognizable that he's not doing it for the Adain? What exactly is the hechetimtza? What's the mitzias over here? Again, it's not that he's not doing work that belongs to the Adain. He clearly is doing work that belongs to the Adain. So what does it mean, v'niker she'ena oisa ladaitoi? I don't know. I'm a bit confused. I'm not sure. But whatever that case is, mutter v'ein tzarich la'afrishay, and the Ramah puts it in the parentheses, the bottom line of Shulchan Aruch, afil kibul olav sheva mitzvahs. This is even talking about the Eved Ger Toishav. So that's the halacha that the Mechaber is telling us here. The Mechaber is telling me that on these two avodim kananim, on the Eved Ger Toishav, or the bottom level Eved, even though there is a chiyuv daraisa of Yinafesh ben Amascha V'Hager on the Adain, that the Adain is not allowed to have the Eved do malacha for him on Shabbos, that means that he can't be l'daitoi. He can't tell him to. He can't instruct him to. Or at least min hastam, the assumption is he's doing it for you, therefore you have to stop him. But if somehow it's nicker, she'ena isa l'daitoi, if it's nicker that he's not doing it l'dasa adain, then the adain is not mechuyev to stop him. I don't know, maybe the Hekatipsa would be that when the Eved is harvesting for the Adain, he has the Adain's equipment, he has the Adain's trucks, he has the whole balagan of the setup of the field, or whatever it is, and now he's out there with a wheelbarrow, he's working on his own time, using his own stuff. I don't know, but somehow it's nicker that he's not doing it Ladasa Adain, then it's mutter, the Ein Sarach La'afrisha. That's in the context of the Adain. Now, the last word on Tzadik Gimel Amud Beis in the Shulchan Aruch. Uli Yisrael acher she'ena rabbi. And how about other Yisraelim? Now, again, other Yisraelim, when it comes to the Eved who's a Ger Toshav, the Isser Torah of Yenafesh ben Amascha v'Hager applies to every Yisrael. No Yisrael is allowed to ask, instruct an Eved Ger Toshav to do work for them. Same way the Adain is not allowed to, no Yisrael is allowed to. When it comes to the bottom level, Eved, that was a machlokes, the day Rishona and the day Shnia. The day Rishona said that for all other Yisraelim, the bottom level Eved has the same din as the Eved Ger Toshav. The Yesh Cholkim said no, only Yisrael Rabbanan. But now, Uli Yisrael acher she'ena rabbi, afilu oiseh l'das Yisrael muter. Oh, says the Mechaber, let's say the Eved Ger Toshav. Let's say the Eved Ger Toshav comes and does work for you. You're not his Adain. You're the Adain's neighbor. But the Eved said one day he's going to do you a favor. He's going to fix your car. If you find on Shabbos afternoon that this Eved is fixing your car, you didn't ask him to, you didn't anything. So then, says the Mechaber, Afilu oiseh l'das Yisrael, even if another Yid knows about it, mutter. It's mutter. Kol she'ein shama miras Yisrael. As long as the Yid didn't ask him to do it on Shabbos, or instruct him to do it on Shabbos. Ubelvad, with a great big caveat, shelo yeyana Yisrael b'Shabbos b'leis malacha. But you're not allowed to get hana from that malacha that the Eved Kanani is doing on Shabbos. Okay, says the Mishnah Berurah cut Yud Beis, Ul Yisrael acher. The dafka gabi rabbi shu avdoi amrina de mistama kama shu oisa al das rabbi oisa. This default position that when we see an Eved do malacha for somebody, we doing malacha that belongs to somebody, we assume that he's doing it al das that person. We assume he's doing it for him. That only applies by his adain. It doesn't apply to other Yidden. So if this Eved Ger Toshav, who's allowed to do work on Shabbos, right? He's a guy. When this Eved Ger Toshav gets up and does work for another Yisrael on Shabbos, the Yisrael didn't ask him to, the Yisrael didn't tell him to, is the Yisrael mechuyev to stop him? No, he's not mechuyev to stop him. He's not my Eved. V'yanafesh ben Amascha v'Hager only goes so far. V'yanafesh ben Amascha v'Hager, I'm not allowed to ask him to do malacha, but I'm not mechuyev to stop him. As long as you didn't instruct him or ask him, and you're not allowed to get hana on Shabbos. If the Yid didn't tell him to do it, and the bottom level Eved or the Eved Ger Toshav got up and did it on his own, you know why he's fixing my car? Because he wants to get a paycheck. So he's not doing it for me on Shabbos, like my shliach, like all the halachas that we learned by Amir La'akum. He's doing it for his own purposes. He's doing it because he wants to get a check on Monday when he's going to give me back my car. He wants to get a check. He's going to come over to me and tell me, by the way, I fixed your car on Saturday, so now pay me. That's why he's doing it. So I'm not mechuyev to stop him. Besif cotton zayin. Ois cotton gimel mutter. V'ayin siman reish dod beis. Soif sif beis. Del pa'amim tzarech libchais v'derabanan. We do say what we learned earlier. Siman reish dod beis. If you remember, we're learning about Amir La'akum. There are times that v'derabanan Chazal said you have to stop a guy from doing work for you on Shabbos, even if you never told him to do it. If he's doing it on your property, if you know about it, etc., etc. Ein kan makom laharich. Certainly you're not allowed to get hana from the malacha that the Eved Kanani is doing on Shabbos. You're not allowed to get hana on Shabbos for item midrabanan. Ain't it any time in any Yehudi does malacha for a Yid on Shabbos, you're not allowed to get hana from that malacha on Shabbos. You have to wait after Shabbos. V'kanal bereish siman reish ayin vav. Second line down, middle of the line. V'yesh oimrim. There are those that say a more makel opinion when it comes to the question of the bottom level Eved, the Eved that's not makabel anything. V'yesh oimrim. There are those that say shekol shaloi kibel olav sheva mitzvos b'nei noyach. Any Eved Kanani who's not even willing to accept upon himself sheva mitzvos b'nei noyach, kevin de any Yehudi gomerhu, he's mamish hagoy. Ein rabbi muzhar alav. Even his odain has no chiyuv of yinafesh ben amaschah v'hager. He's an out-and-out Ein Yehudi. Ulefizet tzarchei chayla she'ein by sakana v'chein tzarchei meis b'yam tevishin mutaloi milam b'asaisai. So then he's a regular guy. And all the regular dinim of Amir La'akum pertain to this Eved Kanani. So if you have a chayla she'ein by sakana and you need a guy to make a tea for him, you could go ask him. It's a shvus, and it's b'makom chayli legazer abanan. So this Ein Yehudi is no different than any other Ein Yehudi, even to the Adain. Since this guy is not makabel anything on himself, yes, he's the possession of a Yehudi, but he's not a Yid in any way, shape, or form. He has no allegiance to halacha. He has no connection to Torah mitzvahs in any way, shape, or form. So he's an Ein Yehudi. So the regular dinei d'Rabbanan of Amir La'akum pertain to him. That's the most Kuladika opinion over here. Ois Katan Tezvav, V'yesh Oimrim Shakal, Sfira Lahu, these opinions hold, to like his Hirad, Torah Levet Shal Yisrael, Inyan Shabbos. Ella B'yesh Alavakal Panim, Ksas Mitzvahs. These shitas hold that the only time there's any Chiv Torah of Yinafesh Ben Amaschah V'Hager on an Eved is if the Eved has some shaykhs to mitzvahs. He was Makabel at least Sheva Mitzvah B'nei Noyach. Time Sheva Mitzvah B'nei Noyach, the Chamavur B'Beis Yosef Ayin Sham, V'ayin Bel Yerabah Shevi B'Shem Kabel Paiskim, De Lamaisa, Alocha Lamaisa, Yesh Lahachmer Kisfara HaRishayna, which would be Machmer like the day of Rishayna, and therefore if we would be Machmer like the day of Rishayna, we would say that the bottom line, the bottom level Eved has the same halacha as the Eved Ger Toshav. He's completely included in the Chiyuv of Yinafesh Ben Amaschah V'Hager. The Adain is not allowed to have him do malacha for him. No Yisrael is allowed to have him do malacha for him. The Adain would have a chiyuv to be meineah him, to go ahead and prevent him from doing malacha, and no Yid would be allowed to ask him to do malacha in any way, shape, or form. Okay, the Mishnah Berurah closes out here with just a tangential halacha. Also, loymer lemumer v'karayim lasis malacha b'Shabbos v'yomtiv. You're not allowed to ask a Yid who's not from a Fraya Yid, a Mumar, or a Karoi, it's like a Stuki. You're not allowed to ask them to do malacha for you on Shabbos or Yom Tov, to Oivim Mishon L'ftei Iver, because that would be an Isser of L'ftei Iver L'sitein Michshel. You're not allowed to be machshel them, they're Yidden. You're not allowed to be machshel them, to have them do malacha on Shabbos. Okay, moving along to the words of the Ramah, 4 lines down, Tzadik Daled, Amid Aleph. So, apparently, back in the day, when people had avodim, they would put some kind of a chosim, some kind of a seal or a mark on the Eved to show that he is an Eved. A badge, a pendant, something. The Eved would have something on him that proclaims that he is an Eved that belongs to Pliny. Okay, for an Eved to go out with this on Shabbos, right away is going to present issues. If we're talking about an Eved and Pashtus, that's who we're going to be talking about here. If we're talking about the highest level Eved Kanani, the Eved Kanani that is Taval Umol, he was Taval in a mikvah l'shem avdus, he had a bris milah, and he was mekabel on himself to be an Eved kosher. So, he's mechuyev in all of Hilchos Shabbos. Chel Gimel pertains to this Eved Kanani the same way it applies to a woman, right? He's chayiv in everything on Shabbos. Mitzaseh, Mrs. Loisaseh, a woman, all of the Isurei Shabbos pertain to a woman. All of the Isurei Shabbos pertain to an Eved Kanani who's an Eved Kosher. Now, if this Eved Kanani wants to go out with the chaysim, with the seal, the mark, that marks him as Pliny's Eved, so right away we need to deal with Haitzah. Is he allowed to wear it? Is he allowed to go out with it? So the unspoken issue over here that nobody talks about it. Here on the page, we don't have a Ramah, a Mishnah Berurah, that talks about why is the Eved allowed to go out with the chaysim? Why is it that a shaila of a tachshit? Is it a malbush? Is it a tachshit? Is it a masui? Is there some kind of, are there any gzeirus, dil masholfa, machavia? There's no discussion of it. What seems to be apparent is that since this is a mark that the Eved Kanani goes out with regularly during the week, this is something that he always wears, it therefore becomes a malbush, which is very, very interesting. It doesn't conceal the body, it doesn't protect the body. It's a little bit hard to call it a tachshit because it's not an adornment of any kind. So it's probably what we have referred to in the past as that functional tachshit. It's something that you wear on your person, not for concealment or for protection, but it provides a different function. This seal is providing a function. It lets everybody know that he is an Eved and who he belongs to. Now, the truth is, we did make mention of such an article earlier, and that was the yellow badge, or the yellow star, that Yidden were told by the Malchus that they had to wear. It becomes a malbish, or a very advanced version of a tachshit. But that's what this seems to be. Glad I think that Rav Moshe brings one of his rayas that really Me'ikar Adin you're allowed to wear a watch is similar. Think about it. What's a watch? A watch is not a malbish in the sense of protection or concealment. A watch, if it's not not talking about a gold watch with diamonds on it, it's not a tachshit in the sense of jewelry, unless it's an expensive fancy watch. But if it's just a functional watch, so what is it? So Rav Moshe brings a raya from here that this is a malbush. The same way the chaysim of the Eved is a malbush, or again an advanced tachshit, so too the watch is similar. But in any case, again, that's not spoken out here on the page. But it's apparent from the halakha over here, nobody clears the shaila, is the Eved allowed to go out with the chaysim. At mitam haitzah, as far as the iser of haitzah, if he's wearing it in the proper way with certain conditions, the unspoken given over here is that he is allowed to wear it. The problem is that what we're faced with, there were apparently different types of these chaysamos. There was a chaysam that was made out of tit. Now, tit literally is mud. I assume it means some kind of a very inferior type of clay. There was some kind of chaysam that was made out of that. There was also a metal chaysam. Now, one of the risks that we have to deal with the chaysim of the Eved Kanani is what happens if the chaysim breaks. If the chaysim breaks, so first of all, if it is a reusable chaysim, if it's a metal chaysim, let's say he's wearing it around his neck or something, and somehow it breaks and it falls off, there's a fear. Well, see, there isn't if he's wearing it around his neck. But a metal chaysam, there could be a fear that if somehow it breaks and it falls off, he's going to pick it up and carry it because he wants to bring it back to his adon. It's reusable. It has value. So he doesn't want to come home and say, oh, I lost my chaysam. He wants to bring the chaysam back. So right away, that would create a concern. Maybe we cannot allow the Eved to wear the chaysam in Rishus HaRabim, lest it fall off, and lest he pick it up and carry it down in Rishus HaRabim in order to bring it back to the Adon. But if it's made out of tit, it's garbage. If it broke, it's garbage. He's not bringing it back to the Adon. So in that way, there's a less of a risk by a chaysam that's made out of tit than there is with a chaysam that's made out of metal. Metal, he might pick up to carry back to the Adon. Tit, he's not going to pick up to carry back to the Adon. Then there's another concern, and that is apparently there were two different ways that they wore these chaysamos. One way to wear the chaysam was somehow attached to a beged, to an article of clothing, like the yellow star. The other way that they wore it was a pendant around the neck. The one that was worn on the clothing presented a bigger problem than the one worn around the neck. Why? Because if the Eved was wearing a chosam on the garment and it fell off, he now has a problem. He doesn't want to walk around in the street wearing his beged without the chosam, because then it looks like he's being kaifer in his adain. It looks like he's denying the adain's authority, right? You're an Eved, you're supposed to be walking around with a badge that proclaims that you're an Eved, that is the possession of Reuven. If you walk in the street without that badge, you are thumbing your nose, you're flaunting the fact that you're denying the authority of your Adon. I took the badge off. I'm walking around without the badge. Now, the Eved doesn't want to get caught in that situation. The Eved knows if he walks around in the gas without the badge, he could get himself in trouble. He's going to come home, he's going to get petch. I don't mean literally, but he's going to get a Mishnah Berurah from his Adon. What's this? You're walking out in the street without the chosam. So what's the risk? The risk is if the chosam falls off his beged, you know what he'll do? He'll take off his jacket, he'll fold it up, he'll carry it over his arm. That way, it's not going to be that he's walking around without the badge. Anybody who sees him is going to say, no, he has the badge. The badge is on his jacket. He's hot, so he's carrying his jacket. Now, of course, carrying the jacket is going to be a problem of Haitzah. So these are the little hard for us to deal with because we don't understand the whole, like, Metzias over here. But it's very apparent from what we're going to learn that these are the two concerns that we're dealing with. Concern number one, the Eved goes out with the chosam. The chosam might break. If it's metal and it's choshev, he might pick it up to carry it home to the Adain so that it can be repaired and reused. That would be Haitzah. If it's tit, we're not concerned. He's going to pick up the shards of the clay chosam and bring it to his Adain because it's not reusable. The other concern, if he's wearing it on his beged, we're afraid that if it falls off, he might fold up his beged and he might carry the beged so that nobody realizes that he doesn't have a badge. If it's around his neck, we don't have that fear. If it's around his neck, what fear is there? That he's going to carry what? So there would be no fear. Okay, based on that, let's see the Ramah. And again, the unspoken assumption over here is that to wear the chosam in a way that doesn't carry either of these two risks is mutter. It doesn't present an issue of Haitzah. Why? Because it's a malbish or a takshit. Okay, says the Ramah. Hago. 4 lines down. V'chol eved shemitzova al shvisasai. Now the words, according to most, are a drop imprecise here. The words mean any eved that you have a chiyuv to make sure that he doesn't do malacha on Shabbos. I'm not going to go back through the whole thing, but we have the 3 levels of avodim, right? And there is some aspect of a chiyuv of shvisa, according to at least the first 2 opinions of the Mechaber, on all 3 levels of eved. So when the Ramah says v'chol eved shemitzova al shvisasai, that sounds like a very broad stroke. It could be the top level Eved, it could mean the Eved Ger Toshav. We're going to assume right now that the Ramah is only talking about the Eved kosher. Why does he say v'chol? Good question. But he means only the Eved kosher. So, v'chol Eved shemitzova al shvisasai. The Eved kosher, with his a bona fide chiyuv daraisa, l'man yenuach avdecha v'amoscha kamoicha, that the Adain is mechuyev to make sure that he doesn't do malacha on Shabbos, and he's mechuyev to prevent him from doing malacha on Shabbos. Whether he's doing it for him, or he's doing it for himself, or he's doing it for anybody else, the Adain has a chiyuv daraisa to make sure that he doesn't do malacha on Shabbos. V'chol eved shemitzova al shvisasai, aser lotzeis b'choisam she'oisa loy rabbi. The Eved is not allowed to go out with that badge that he wears laharis b'ishu avdoi to show off, to show that he's Reuven's Eved. Now, the way the Mishnah Berurah learns the Ramah is that this phrase that the Ramah just said is very 30,000 feet, very high level. And now the Ramah is going to give the details. So first the Ramah says high level. Eved kosher is not allowed to go out with the badge, with the chaysim, that his adain, his master, made for him to show that he's his eved. Okay, having said that, there's a backstory. It's not always true. It's not a blanket statement that he's really never allowed to go out with the chaysim. It depends how he's wearing it. It depends what he's made out of. What he's made out of. It depends what the chaysim is made out of. So again, high level, says the Ramah, you should know that the eved kosher, there is an isser for the eved kosher to go out with a chaysim. Now, what exactly is the isser? When exactly does it apply? Explains the Ramah. V'im hu shel tit. If the chaysim is made out of tit, then mutter lotzes by, it would be mutter for the eved to go out with the chaysim, kishetolui b'tzavoroi, if it's around his neck. Now, I'll give you like a heads up what the Mishnah Berurah is going to say. The Mishnah Berurah is going to explain, if the chaysim is made out of tit, and the eved is wearing it around his neck, then we have obviated both concerns that we spoke about. Why? Because first of all, the chaysim is made out of tit. So do we have to be afraid that if it breaks, he's going to carry the shards back home? No, it's tit. It's valueless. He's not going to carry it home. So that's concern number one, is obviated. He's not going to carry it. Now, is he wearing it on his jacket? No. He's wearing it around his neck as a pendant. So do we have to be concerned that if it falls off, he's going to fold up his jacket and carry his jacket over his arm so that no one should see that he's not wearing the chaysim? No, it's not on his beged. It's on a pendant. So this case obviates both concerns that we were talking about, and that's why the Ramah says, Imu shel tit, if it's made out of tit, so no concern he's going to carry it home if it breaks. Mutter lotzes by, when? Kishetolui b'tzavoroi, if it's around his neck. Avaloi b'ksusai, but not if the chaysim of tit is on his beged. Why? Because you're right. If the chaysim falls off, he's not going to bring home the shards because they have no value. But there's the other problem. He's going to take off his jacket, fold it up, and carry his jacket home so that no one should realize that gate and gas are on without the chaysim. That's what the Ramah is saying over here. Ubishal matris. But if the chaysim is made out of metal, then b'chol inyan aser. Then I don't care how he's wearing it. Whether he's wearing it on his beged or whether he's wearing it as a pendant around his neck, if it's made out of metal, he's not allowed to go out to Rosh Hashanah wearing it. Why? Because if it breaks, since it's choshev, it's reusable, he might pick it up and carry it home to return it to the adain. Says the Mishnah Berurah, Ois Katan Tezayin. V'chol eved. So I told you that when the Ramah says v'chol eved, he's talking about the eved kosher. Says the Mishnah Berurah, I koi gama eved shal loi mol v'taval. If you want to know if this is talking about the eved ger toishav, and it's talking about the lowest level eved, the prostniak, ayin b'tei sefer Shabbos and prima godim, who declares such a shaila. But the pashtus is, it's talking about the high level eved. The eved l'man yenuach sharcha, l'man yenuach avdecha v'amascha kamoicha, the eved kosher. You want to see more details? Take a look at the Pri Megadim and the Tosefes Shabbos. Ois Katan Yud Zayin. Asr Lotzes. It's also for the Eved Kanani to go out with the chaysim. Hine mitchila sasam adavar. First, the Ramah told us high level that there is such an iser. V'achakach bir, and then he explains when it applies. De'im yesh by tarti lamal yusa. If we have two reasons to be makel. What are the two reasons to be makel? There's a very funnily worded Mishnah Berurah, because the Mishnah Berurah doesn't really go on to explain what he means that there's tarti l'mal yusa. So I'll speak it out. What the Mishnah Berurah means is, im yesh by tarti l'mal yusa, if you have two reasons to be makel. What are the two reasons to be makel? Reason number one is that the chaysim is made out of tit, so it's valueless. He's not going to carry it home. Reason number two, and this is what the Mishnah Berurah doesn't really speak out. Reason number two is he's wearing it as a pendant around his neck. So if it falls off, he's not going to take off his jacket, fold up his jacket, and carry his jacket Rosh Hashanah. So im yesh by tarti l'mal yusa. Dahainu. First of all, sha'chaysim hayushal tit. The chaysim, it's made out of mud. V'hu talui b'tzavar. And he's wearing it around his neck. So that's the tarti l'mal yusa. The Mishnah Berurah doesn't explain, he doesn't speak out why these are both reasons to be makel. He kind of goes off now into A little bit of a tangent almost. But these are the two reasons to be makel. One is that the chaysim is tit, therefore we don't have to worry he's going to bring the shards home. And the second reason to be makel is v'hu tali b'tzavarai, it's hanging on his neck, it's not on his beged. Then mutar lotzes by. Then the Eved's allowed to go out. And now he kind of breaks it down. What should we be concerned about here? The Lamai Nechush law. What should we be concerned about? The L'Shema Yisirena B'Yadai, to be afraid that the Eved is actually going to take off the Chaysam. He's wearing it as a pendant around his neck. Should we be worried that he might take it off and carry it to Alamas and Rishus Harabim? No. The L'Shema Yisirena B'Yadai V'Viena Arba Ames Rishus Harabim V'Vader Lekel Amechash. It wouldn't make sense to be concerned for that. The is alei a masa derabe, because he's afraid of his adain. Sheyomer shehisira kedei laharishu ben chayrin. For him to take it off and carry it in Rishus Harabim, he's being kaifer in his adain. So he's not going to do that. Ulashem yipasek. So what are you going to worry about? That maybe the pendant will break, the yeshaver achaysam, and the chaysam will break me'elav b'Rishus Harabim, v'asi lasu yachakach lebeisai. And now he's going to bring the shards home. There's no reason to be afraid of that either. The lamay yiviyenu, why should he bring it home? The chaysam shaver shal tit, broken shards of clay, loy chazi lamidi. They're worthless. So he's not going to bring it home. V'im kidei laharis l'rabi. Now you might say, oh, I'll tell you why. Maybe he's going to bring home the broken shards of the tit chaysam, not because they have value and they're reusable. No, for a different cheshbon. He's bringing it home to show his evid. No, chas v'chalila. Don't think that I walked around in the gasaran without my chaysam. No, look, even though it broke, I went around carrying it in my hand. See, I'm an evid, I'm an evid, I'm an evid. Says the Mishnah Berurah, that's also not a cheshbon. The fact was that when somebody went around carrying a chaysam, it did not mean that he was an evid. The only time that badge had any value to proclaim that somebody was an evid is if he was wearing it as a pendant around his neck or it was stuck on his baghead. So there would be no value in the evid coming home to the adain and saying, look, I'm a good boy. I was carrying the chaysam, even though it broke. There's no value to that, so we don't have to worry about it. But, says the Mishnah Berurah, if there would be only one rationale to be makel, let's say what we're going to say is like this: the chaysam is on his beged, and it's made out of tit. Okay, so now you have one reason to be makel, because the chaysam is tit. So if it falls off and breaks, he's not going to carry it home. But you don't have the second reason to be makel. The second reason to be makel was that he was wearing it on his neck. But now he's not wearing it on his neck, he's wearing it on his beged. So if the chaysam shel tit falls off, you're right, he won't carry it home. But he'll take off his jacket, fold it up, and carry his jacket home. Or he's not wearing it on his beged. He's wearing it around his neck. That's a reason to be makel. But it's not tit, it's metal. If it's metal, if it breaks, he's going to carry home the pieces because they're reusable. Then also losses spoil Rishus Harabim. Then you're not allowed to go out with it to Rishus Harabim. Ukidol kamei. Ois cut yudches. Avaloi b'ksusai. The Ramah said, I don't care what it's made out of. If it's on his beged, he can't go out with it on Shabbos. Why? Dilma mifsik ha-chaysam me'elov, because maybe the chaysam, whether it's metal or whether it's tit, it might break. Umirsas berabai, and now the evidence is going to be afraid of his adain, sheyoymar she'esirai, who's going to say that you took it off purposely, kedei laharis lakol shu ben chayrin, in order to proclaim yourself a ben chayrin, and then v'yakapal talisai, he'll fold his garment, he'll fold up his jacket, kedei shelo yisrael mekayim ha-chaysam, so nobody should see that he's walking around with a jacket that has a mark on it where he took the chaysam off, and he's going to carry his jacket over his shoulder. Carrying your beged like that is a masoi. Not allowed to do that. I've cut your test. If the chaysam is made out of metal, then it's always asur. I don't care how you're wearing it. The kevin chashav, because it's valuable. The capital of Rabbi Shaloyovad, and the adain doesn't want it to get lost. So then what's the ever going to do? He's going to carry it home. Let's close out this sif. Let's go back into the words of the Ramah. 4 lines off the bottom, near the end of the line, says the Ramah, if the Eved made his own chaysam, The Adain didn't make the chaysim. The Eved made the chaysim. When the Eved asa chaysim la'atzmai, then afilu b'shal tit. Even if the chaysim is made out of tit, b'chol inyan aser, it would be always aser for the Eved to go out with that chaysim. I don't care how he's wearing it. Says the Mishnah Berurah, Hainu afilu kishu tali al tzavarai. If it's made out of tit, which is a reason to be makel because it doesn't have value, and he's wearing it around his neck, which is a second reason to be makel, because he won't come to carry his jacket, it's still aser if the Eved made his own chaysim. The reason is the kevin shu oisal atzmai, since the Eved made the chaysim on his own, eina mirsis merabi kishesirena. Now, the Adain didn't tell him that he has to wear this chaysim. He decided that he wants to wear the chaysim. Why? I don't know. But he decided he wants to wear a chaysim. Now, there's nothing stopping the Eved from taking the chaysim off. If the Adain made the chaysim for the Eved, so then the Eved's never going to take it off in Rosh Hashanah, because if he does, he's being kaifer in the Adain. The Adain's going to get angry at him. But if the Adain didn't make him wear a chaysim, he decided on his own that he wants to wear a chaysim. Maybe, remember, he used to be a guy. Now he's an Eved kosher. Maybe it's a badge of honor for him. He wants to show, ich bin an Eved Kanani, I'm chayiv in mitzvahs like a Yiddish woman. Right? We make brachas in the morning. We make a bracha shaloy asani goy. We thank the Rebbeinu Shalom for not making us a goy. What's the value that he didn't make us a goy? The value is he didn't make us like a goy. A goy has no connection to the Rebbeinu Shalom. We have 613 mitzvahs. So Baruch atah Hashem Elokeinu melech haolam shaloy asani goy. You could have made me a goy, and I'd be a garnished. I would have no mitzvahs whatsoever. Then we make another bracha. Baruch atah Hashem Elokeinu melech haolam shaloy asani eved. You could have made me an Eved Kanani. If you would have made me an Eved Kanani, I would have mitzvahs, but I would only have the mitzvahs of an Isha. So thank you for not making me an Eved. Finally, we say Baruch atah Hashem Elokeinu melech haolam shaloy asani Isha. You didn't make me a woman. You could have made me a woman. I would have more kedusha than an Eved. I would have kedushas Yisrael, and I would be chayiv in the mitzvahs of an Isha. But you didn't do that. What'd you do? You made me a man. You made me a Yiddish man. So maybe this Eved Kanani, for him it's a badge of honor. I want a badge that says that I'm an Eved Kanani. At least I'm chayiv in mitzvahs like a Yiddish woman. So maybe he wants to wear it. But if it's of his own volition, so then maybe if he goes into a neighborhood where they don't like Avadim Kananim, maybe he'll take it off. He's not afraid of his Adon. His Adon doesn't care if he takes it off. So this is kind of like a Dilma Shalfa Umachavia type Xera, and he wouldn't be allowed to go out with that Choisam. We're going to stop over here. We'll continue next time with Sif Beis. Thank you so much for joining me for limud HaTorah. This was limud HaTorah should be making against Klal Yisrael. Rebbeinu Shalom should send Yeshuas, Refuas, Parnas, and Shidduchim to all those who need. We should be zeicher to see the Bias Gal Tzedek. B'mher v'yameinu. Amen. Be well.